Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Engineering Very Simple. Now we were studying control systems engineering. Now in that we studied quite a few topics, introductory topics. Now starting from today we are going to start a new topic which is concept of transfer function. So now let us start discussing what is the importance of transfer function in control system. But before that let us first define what do you mean by transfer function. So the definition of transfer function I have written on the board. Now I will explain it to you. So what does this transfer function mean? So transfer function, it is defined as the ratio of the Laplace transform of the input which is applied at the input side of the control system to the Laplace transform of the applied input or excitation under the assumption that the initial conditions are zero. Under the assumption initial conditions of the input are at zero, or the initial conditions of the entire system of the circuit, control system or circuit, are suppressed to zero. So what does this mean? I will explain it with the help of block diagram. Now this is a block which has some function, transfer function t of t in the time domain, to which we have certain input excitation which is applied, which is denoted by r of t, and the corresponding output at the output side is c of t. Now this is in time domain, but as you can see from the definition itself, it is said that it is defined as the ratio of the Laplace transform of the output response. So our definition for transfer function and control system is in S domain or frequency domain. So here have a look at the second diagram over here. Now this is a block which has certain transfer function in the S domain or frequency domain, T of S, which is obtained after taking the Laplace transform. Now what does the definition say to us? It is the Laplace transform, ratio of the Laplace transform of the output to the ratio of the Laplace transform of the input. So what is the Laplace transform of the output? It is denoted by C of S. And what is the Laplace transform of the input? It is denoted by R of S. And our definition of transfer function is that transfer function, that is T of S, is Laplace transform of the output, that is C of S, to the ratio of Laplace transform of the input. So this ratio, that is ratio of the Laplace transform of the output denoted by C of S to the ratio of the Laplace transform of the input denoted by R of S. So this is our definition of transfer function. So transfer function T of S in any control system is denoted by C of S upon R of S. So whenever you see the term C of S or CO of S and input ratio of any output variable to its input variable, and that too in S domain, that is frequency domain or S domain, then you should know that a transfer function of the particular system is given. Now why do we need to study the concept of transfer function in control system? Now as you know, in control system, the control systems are represented in the terms of block diagram. We saw in previous example simplified generic block diagrams of room heating system and all, which consisted of a feedback path. So each and every block in a control system or subsystem is represented by a block, and each block has its own transfer function. So what is a transfer function? Transfer function is nothing but it acts as a mathematical operator. So when an input R of S is applied, this transfer function gets multiplied to this particular input signal to produce output excitation. So that's the reason in control system engineering your transfer function is of much importance. So if there are various subsystems in a complete overall control system, then there may be a cascading arrangement or parallel arrangement. Suppose this is one transfer function, this is another transfer function, and again there is a summing junction over here, some input excitation is there, and then to which a feedback path is also connected over here. So it also has its own transfer function, and here C of S is at the output. So from here only you know that this particular block is a subsystem, this particular block is a subsystem from this overall control system, and this feedback one also has its own transfer function. So that's the reason transfer function is very essential when you study any control system, because from that only you come to know the properties of the system, and you come to know that this transfer function is nothing but a mathematical operator depending on which it is applied to the input signal to produce a corresponding output in the control system. So that's the reason you need to study control systems. Now we'll move on further to how to interpret various terms from the transfer function given to us. So now we will start studying important terminology related to transfer function. Now transfer function, as you know, it is the ratio of Laplace transform of the output to the Laplace transform of the input. So C of s upon R of s by our transfer function definition, it is clear. Now sometimes this transfer function is expressed as a ratio of two polynomials. Now by polynomials, in any polynomial, in any normal algebra also polynomial is expressed like this. That is, so some coefficient raised to its power and so on. So it is of the type a naught s raised to m plus a1 s raised to m minus 1 plus am divided by denominator polynomial, that b1 s raised to n plus b2 s raised to n minus 1 plus bn. So it is a ratio of two polynomials in this case. The transfer function is the ratio of two polynomials in this case. So whenever we have transfer function expressed in as a ratio of two polynomials, we can do one thing. We can factorize this equation using our normal algebra. To factorize this expression, we need to find the roots of this polynomial. So on solving the numerator and denominator polynomial, that is after finding its factor, so a transfer function gets reduced to transfer function is equal to k. Now this k I will tell you later. Now for time being, just assume that it is k into s minus sa into s minus sb into s minus sm. Now as you can see, sa, sb and sm are the roots of the numerator of the transfer function. Similarly is the case with that of the denominator polynomials root. This s1, s2 and sn are the roots of this denominator polynomial. So the transfer function of the control system is represented in the form of ratio to polynomials, which can be further simplified to get the transfer function of this form. Generally in your paper, transfer function will be given in this form. And what is this k? K is some constant taken outside as a result of mathematical simplification when you factorize these two equations. But this k has more significance in terms of control systems or any electrical system also. So this k is known as system gain factor, because this transfer function is nothing but gives you the exact interpretation of what function the system will perform. So this constant k which is taken outside while factorizing these two polynomials is nothing but known as system gain factor. So the transfer function can be simply like this. So this is the transfer function now. So it is any constant, right? So just abruptly I am writing some simple equation. So s minus 2, s minus 4, s minus 6. There can be a number of terms in this, and then it can be s minus 1, s minus 2. Let's say we put s minus 5. This doesn't represent any particular control system in particular. Just for giving an example, I have written this. So this 6 is the system gain factor over here, and this is how the transfer function is represented. Now one more thing I would like to add over here. So all this while I was telling you that it is a Laplace transform of the output to the input. Now what do you mean by exactly Laplace transform, and why are we taking it? So actually, if you want me to explain the whole Laplace transform related to control system, then you should comment in the comment section below. Then I will take a detailed separate lecture on Laplace transform on control system. For time being, I will just explain it to you briefly. That is, what is Laplace transform? So for time being, just remember that Laplace transform is a tool which you use to convert any system which is given in time domain to frequency domain. And why do we convert any given system from time domain to frequency domain? The simple reason is analysis in frequency domain of the particular system or designing a system for a particular frequency are only analysis and synthesis is very simple in frequency domain as compared to your time domain. So that's the reason we use Laplace transform, and it is simple to take the Laplace transform also. So that is one of the reason it is used as a tool to convert a given system which is given in the time domain, to convert it into frequency domain. Laplace transform is used. Now what is this Laplace transform? Laplace transform is not a very difficult thing. It is a very special type of integral only. So let us define for so Laplace transform for any function, real function f of t, for t greater than 0 is nothing but, so this L operator denotes that it is Laplace transform is being applied. So Laplace transform of f of t is denoted by capital F of s. So when we take the Laplace transform of f of t, it is converted to s domain or frequency domain. So that becomes f of s is nothing but integral, as I have defined the function for t greater than 0, it would be integral t from 0 to infinity f of t. So that is the our function in the time domain, and we want to convert it into frequency domain. So this is the formula for it. So f of s is equal to integral 0 to infinity f of t e raised to minus st dt. Now when you solve this integral, you convert any transfer function given in time domain to frequency domain. Now the detailed formulas regarding Laplace transform and all that you will study in your applied mathematics course as well. So that I am not discussing. But when I say Laplace transform, this operation is performed on the transfer function. Remember that. So we just now briefly discussed what is Laplace transform and how it converts any frequency domain system to time domain system to s domain or frequency domain. Now what is this s in that? Understand, because we will encounter s everywhere in transfer function. So s is nothing but, so sometimes frequency domain is also denoted as s domain. So this s is nothing but a complex variable which is of the form sigma, which is s is equal to sigma plus j omega. Now when you see this, one thing you remember, this is a complex variable, and you studied complex variables in mathematics in your first semester also, and in your 12th standard also, that any complex number is denoted by z is equal to x plus iy. So this complex variable is nothing but similar to your complex numbers that you studied in mathematics. Here x was your real part and y was your imaginary part. So here in this case also, here the s of the transfer function, there some real part will be there, and here some, this sigma will be the real part and omega will be the imaginary part. So s is a complex variable which has real part and imaginary part, that is s is equal to sigma plus j omega and z is equal to x plus iy. Compare it with this, you will understand what is a complex variable. So s is a complex variable which we extensively use in our transfer function. Because why? Because it is we take the Laplace transform, that's why the roots of the transfer function of the polynomials present in the transfer function is denoted by s. So s is a complex variable which has certain real and imaginary parts. Now let us move on further to understand further concepts related to transfer function. Now first concept or terminology is related to transfer function is poles. Now what are poles of a transfer function? Now let's say I have a transfer function. For example, it is denoted by t of s is equal to 2 into s plus 2 divided by s into s plus 4. Now what are the poles of this transfer function? And how we find the poles of a transfer function? Now this is a simple transfer function I have taken, in which there are only two terms present at the denominator, which is formed by, and these are nothing but the roots of the factors of the denominator polynomial of a transfer function. This 2 is nothing but the system gain, and this is again roots of the numerator polynomial. So what are poles? Poles are nothing but the values of S for which your transfer function becomes infinite. Transfer function becomes infinity. So how does your transfer function t of s will become infinity? So observe the numerator terms over here. So these are nothing but the roots of the numerator polynomial of the transfer function. When we equate it to numerator only, sorry, not numerator, we are discussing poles. So consider the roots of the denominator polynomial. So denominator is over here. So the value of s for which your transfer function becomes infinity are nothing but known as the poles of the transfer function. So have a look at the roots of the denominator polynomial. So when we equate s is equal to 0, so here there will be two roots. So when we equate both these terms to 0, that is s into s plus 4 is equal to 0, the new denominator term. So here we get s is equal to 0 and s is equal to minus 4. So these are the poles of the system. This s is equal to 0 and s is equal to minus 4. And what is the procedure to compute the poles of the given transfer function? Equate the number of terms in the denominator to 0. Now if there were 3 more terms, we would have equated it to 0. Then s would have become 0. This s plus 4 is equal to 0. So s is equal to minus 4. So when we equate the terms in the denominator to 0, we get the equivalent poles. Now what did I say to you earlier regarding poles? It is the value of s for which your transfer function becomes infinity. Now see, now this is our transfer function. We have founded the roots of it by equating the denominator. Now let us substitute the values of s. So transfer function, when you put s is equal to 0, what will it remain? So we will put the first pole first, that is s is equal to 0. So we are putting the value of first pole, s is equal to 0. So when 0 plus 2 and then divided by 0, because s is 0 and 0 plus 4. Now anything 2 divided by 0 is nothing but infinity or not defined. So here in this case the value of transfer function is tending to infinity. So 0 is also a pole. Similarly, when you put minus 4, you will also get the same result. So the values of s for which the transfer function becomes infinity are known as the poles of the system. Now the second terminology, which are zeros. So what do you understand by zeros of a transfer function or zeros of a control system? So zeros, the values of s for which the transfer function becomes 0 are known as zeros of the system. So by name only it is clear that the values of s for which the transfer function becomes 0 is known as zeros of a system. Now let us take the same example, the same transfer function. Transfer function is denoted by t of s is equal to 2 into s plus 2 divided by s into s plus 4. Now we want to calculate zeros of the system. Earlier we calculated poles of the system. Now to calculate zeros, we have to equate its numerator part to 0. So I have done the same thing over here. I have equated 2 into s plus 2 to 0. So from that I get a single 0 from here. From that only I get a 0. That is, when s plus 2 is equated to 0, s will be equal to minus 2. This is equal to sign. So s is equal to minus 2 is the 0 of that system. Now let us see what happens when you substitute s is equal to minus 2, the value of 0 in the transfer function which we are having. So after substitution, we have 2 into, here in place of s we will substitute minus 2. So minus 2 plus 2 divided by minus 2 into minus 2 plus 4. Now when we do the simplification, this would be 2 into 0, because minus 2 plus 2 is nothing but 0. Divided by the terms in the denominator, minus 2 into minus 2 plus 4. This term will yield plus 2. So minus 2 into 2 will give you 4. But in the numerator part it would be 0. That is, 0 divided by minus 4 is nothing but 0. So the values for s for which the transfer function is becomes 0. So in this manner we found out the zeros of the transfer function. So these are poles and zeros. Now next some concept related to it. So both poles and zeros can be sometimes This concept is applicable to both poles and zeros. So if poles and zeros often are distinct from one another, so let's say this is a pole right now. Let us assume s is equal to not any just for generalized example, not related to any transfer function. Supposing I have some transfer function given to me, and from that I have found the values that these are the poles of my system. So from here only we can say that all the poles are non-repeating. As you can see, there are distinct values. So there are distinct poles present over here, and they are not repeated. And similarly, if we have obtained poles like this 1 1 2 2, so you can say that there are repeated poles in this system, because as you can see the same value is repeated twice. Now assume that these are poles, and there is one more third tile. This is equal to 2 plus 1g, comma 2 minus 1g. So this is complex conjugate poles. So poles and zeros are of this state put as you can see, these are complex conjugate. When I write 2 plus 1j, 2 minus 1j is your complex conjugate. By rules of your complex algebra, you know that, or complex variable, you know that. So poles and zeros are obtained by three types, that they are distinct, they are either repeated, or they are either complex conjugate poles. And on the basis of this thing, we will be able to determine the stability of the system. But that stability considerations we will learn later. But just for time being, I told you that the poles and zeros are obtained of the following of the three types, of the following three categories. So now the next terminology we will study, which is characteristic equation. Now characteristic equation is nothing but the equation obtained by equating the denominator of transfer function to 0. Supposing in the denominator there is some polynomial given in your transfer function, and if you equate the denominator polynomial to 0, only the denominator polynomial equated to 0 gives you the characteristic equation. Now next, the fourth terminology related to transfer function is pole zero plot. Now what is a pole zero plot? The plot obtained by locating the poles and zeros of a transfer function or a control system or system in S plane. So in S plane we know S is equal to sigma plus j omega, which is our complex variable in our transfer function. Now we want to represent all the poles and zeros with the help of a diagram. Now as you can see, S is sigma plus j omega, where we had sigma as the real part and j omega is the imaginary part. Now this is similar to your complex number z is equal to x plus iy. And the pole zero plot is similar to your Argand diagram in your complex variable topic. Now, so here x is replaced by sigma and y is replaced by omega. So the same thing you see in the S-plane diagram over here. Sigma is your real axis, j omega is your imaginary axis, and if you want to locate the poles and zeros of a transfer function, we make use of the diagram, this diagram, because our transfer function is in S-plane or complex variable plane. And zeros is denoted by a small circle in the pole zero plot, and poles are denoted by a cross mark in the pole zero plot. So if I obtain pole at 3, I will put a cross over 3, because 3 is on sigma, that is real axis. Supposing I have a 0 at, let's say, 1, and it is on the real axis, then I would encircle it because it is a 0. And similarly, if I obtain a pole at, let's say, plus 3j, you will highlight it with a cross on the j omega axis. So in this manner, you locate the poles and zeros of a transfer function using pole zero plot, and this pole zero plot is used extensively in order to understand the stability of the control system also. So that we will study later in this course. Now the next terminology is order of the transfer function. Now what do you mean by order of transfer function? The highest power of S, which is present in the characteristic equation of the polynomial. Now what is the characteristic equation of the polynomial? We discussed earlier that it is nothing but the denominator polynomial of the transfer function when equated to 0 is known as the characteristic equation. So the highest power of s which is present in the characteristic equation of polynomial, that is denominator of transfer function, is known as the order of the transfer function. Now in order to understand this, let us take an example. Now for example, we have a transfer function denoted by t of s, which is given by given as a function of the two polynomials. Now the numerator polynomial of the transfer function is s plus 2, and the denominator polynomial, which is our characteristic equation, is given by s square plus 4s plus 12. Now this is the numerator polynomial and denominator polynomial. Now we are interested in finding the order of the transfer function as system. So for that we will consider the highest power of s which is present in the denominator, and this is our characteristic equation also, that is s square plus 4s plus 12 is equal to 0 is our characteristic equation, because when we equate the denominator polynomial of any transfer function to 0, it is known as characteristic equation. Now the highest power in the denominator, it is said to be the order. Highest power of s, here this is 12, this is a constant term, so power of s present over here is 0, that is s raised to 0, that's why it is 1. So that's the reason no s is present over here. So here the power of s increases, that is s raised to 1, that is s, and here is the highest power because it is s square. So what is our order? Order will be 2. So we can say that this is the second order transfer function of a system, because the highest power of the characteristic equation of a transfer function polynomial is, the highest power of s is s square in this case. So that's why we can say that it is a second order transfer function. Now the last terminology for today is the DC gain of the transfer function. Now what is the DC gain of the transfer function? I have written the definition over here. The value of transfer function obtained for s is equal to 0. That is for 0 frequency. That is the value of the function obtained for 0 frequency is known as the DC gain of the system. So DC gain is defined as DC gain is equal to transfer function for after substituting the value s is equal to 0 in the transfer function. So s is equal to 0 denotes 0 frequency. So now by the definition of DC gain, it is clear that I told you the value of the DC gain is nothing but the value of the transfer function obtained after substituting s is equal to 0, and there was an alternative term in the definition that is at 0 frequency, the gain obtained of the system at 0 frequency. Now what is this 0 frequency, you will understand. Now this is some transfer function given to you. Let's say t of s is 2 into s plus 2 divided by s plus 4. Now in the DC gain definition there was a term that gain of the system at 0 frequency. Now why is s is equal to 0 called as 0 frequency? I have a closed loop over here. Now s is a complex variable, and when we have equation in s domain we say that it is frequency domain. But now we are computing gain at 0 frequency, that is at s is equal to 0. So your s is nothing but sigma plus j omega. Out of these two, this is the real part and this is the imaginary part. Now have a look at this omega part over here. So this omega is your frequency part. So omega is nothing but 2 pi f, where f is the frequency. And when you write omega, it is in radians per second. That is why the frequency component in your complex variable is in your imaginary part. That is 2 pi f. But now we say we want to compute DC gain at 0 frequency, and s is equal to 0 is DC frequency. Why? Because when you equate this, s is nothing but, I will write it over here. This s is nothing but s is equal to sigma plus j omega. When you equate s to 0, and we write 0 plus j omega. When you equate omega to, that's the reason omega is equal to 0 and sigma will be also equal to 0. Now when omega is equal to 0, we say that frequency is 0, because omega is nothing but 2 pi f. And when we equate 2 pi f to 0, naturally your frequency is 0. And in your direct current, in your electrical engineering also, whenever some gain is calculated or some parameter is calculated, when the frequency of the supply is 0, we say that the electrical system has been applied a DC input, because frequency is 0. And as we were dealing in the frequency domain, there might be some frequency components present, but there might be some DC component in the frequency domain also. So for finding that DC component or DC gain, we equate the frequency term to 0, that is S is equal to 0 is nothing but gain of the system at 0 frequency, that is S is equal to 0 is nothing but known as equating the frequency to 0. So that's the reason it is known as 0 frequency gain. So now let us compute the DC gain. Let us substitute the value of S is equal to 0 over here in the transfer function. So when you put S is equal to 0, do certain analysis, we compute that when you put this 0 and this 0, the analysis proceeds further, that is 2 into 2, because 0 plus 2 is 2 and 0 plus 4 is 4. So when we compute this mathematically, our DC gain for this particular system comes out to be 1. So this was DC gain of the system or 0 frequency gain of the system. So that's all for today.